So, even though what they're doing is wrong, they really are caught in a very tough position themselves. Because what they're doing to us has been done to them. I'm just trying to draw parallels. I'm not justifying it in any way. By the way, when any of the aliens give birth to a child, they take that child outside of the Earth's atmosphere so the child is born fully aware of its reincarnational history, so it realizes who it is, and it doesn't carry the veil. Why is this? Apparently, there is some kind of agreement. If you're born within the Earth's atmosphere, you've got to be veiled. It's just part of what comes with being born here. The Grey's Master's assigned agenda is to create a slave race which is currently in full swing, for the purposes of control, physical services, labor and sexual energy. Now I will explain this. The acts of feeding, war, anger, psychic energy, genetic experiments, hybrids as a food source, genetic and biological materials. The Greys and their masters feed off this, our energy. As examples, if two people are fighting, they create a lot of emotional negative energy. And this is why you will find that whenever there are wars going on, there's a lot of UFO activity. Negative energy. They just feed off it. It's like into when you're making love to your man or to your wife, and you reach that moment where you are both at the same place at the same time, in a loving benevolent way. That's how it feels for them regarding negative energy release. The energy of fear, that rush of adrenaline, young teens on a battlefield running around scared, this is what they crave, all of the negative emotional aspects. They have also been doing extensive research on the human brain and its capabilities as well as study of the soul. Many people who have been implanted by the Greys, those who are aware of it and those who still aren't, must become aware of the fact that they have actually been on a kind of machine and are being shown and trained to do something. According to the Andromedans, the Greys are training us to fight their war against the Draconians, one of their masters, when they get here, because they are going to use us as their soldiers. Just like when our military sends in the infantry and marines, those implanted will be the first ones on the beach. While the Greys sitting back on board their ships drinking champagne or having a gin and tonic, and wondering how the battle is going. And they have chosen our world to be the battleground. At the same time they are still oohing about preparing the Earth for its new owners. Apparently, the Greys are going to make this attempt, but the inevitable truth is that the reptilians from Alpha Draconis are on their way here now. And this has very serious implications for us. Now, honestly, I'm not here to promote fear. I don't believe in it. But I'm telling you what I've been told to tell you. We have boxed ourselves into a corner, and the only way we can change the outcome is that we have to consciously become aware of what our world is really about, what's really going on here. And we have to create a space of love. Folks, that's the bottom line. By creating a space of love, the Greys, the Draconians, the Orions won't be able to handle the vibration. They have got to leave, or we're going to have to ask for some serious intervention here. In which case, there's going to be war in the heavens as the Bible has predicted. It will be all about saving us. You know, this talk about Ashtar coming down here to save you. Ladies and gentlemen, it isn't going to happen. It's just another belief system. Or how about Commander Hatton, who is saying we will take you to Mars? No thanks. I don't want to go to Mars, it just isn't going to happen that way. Nobody is going to save you, because according to the Andromedans, if you're sitting here waiting for a savior, you are not doing the work yourself. And who would come down here to take you off the hook? For what purpose? You will only recreate the situation again someday. If you haven't permanently evolved to that level of becoming your own savior, your own messiah, then you haven't learned your life's lessons. And this is what the Andromedan strongest message is. You have got to do the work yourself. You are only responsible for yourself. Nobody is going to take you off the hook. Matter of fact, if they do end up intervening on our behalf, they are not going to stick around afterward and babysit us. That means we have got to get it straight. That we as a race, have got to come together and decide what it is that we want and how we want to live. How are we going to raise our children? What moralities, what laws, etc. Not to be told by somebody else out there, what is best for us. Folks, It's never worked before, and it isn't going to work now. Most human beings would rather die than live being a slave. That's just our nature, our soul, to be free. We're at that point again. What will we choose? You see, the Greys are currently monitoring the brain waves of those they have implanted. They have done this for the better part of 100 years on Earth. So generations of family members have had implants. The cloning of human beings, of life forms and the art of subversion was taught by the Greys to the NSA. On the two highest levels of human interaction with the Greys within the NSA, there exists cloned human beings and humans so heavily implanted, that according to the Andromedans, they do not consider them human beings anymore. They have joined the group mind of the Greys. They have lost free will. They are clone robots. Their soul is trapped and they are no longer considered compassionate human beings. The Greys cloned their own race into a caste of slaves, just like ants. They all basically think the same things at the same time. Their minds are like radios. If there are no radio waves, they don't do anything. They have computers which transmit the radio like waves, telling them what their jobs are, their functions that they must carry out. If the computers, their group mind, were shut down, the Greys would no longer know what to do for themselves. They do not possess individual intelligence like us, although they would very much like to create us to be like them. The Greys also consider what we call God, a mind, like we think of our own mind. They have completely detached themselves from their spiritual essence, so long ago, that their physical existence and personality has become pure ego. The draconians are pure ego, as well. Many other races genetically altered by the draconians, are also experiencing the separation from their own essence too. Now, I don't understand the process or exactly how it works, but the Greys no longer believe themselves to be spirit, to be in essence. They're trapped mentally, emotionally, physically in a physical existence, therefore, that's all they see. They literally disown and fractionalize themselves away from their spiritual essence. It's no longer a part of them. Human beings have also been known to do that themselves, as well. You know, we can fractionalize ourselves into many different personalities. The Greys are pure ego. They are very sophisticated in mathematics and energy sciences. It has been said that our military at the time of the Holloman Air Force meeting, that there was an exchange of personnel. Our military gave the Greys 16 military personnel and that were supposed to be taken to the Greyish point of origin, and that they left us 1 or 2 guys or something of theirs along those same lines. Well, according to the Andromedans, it was really 109 human beings that were taken at that particular exchange. They have not returned. As a matter of fact, they did not go to the Greys' point of origin, which was Zeta Reticuli 2, rather they went to the motherships and Phobos where they were experimented on. The Greys gave virus technology to the NSA, which then was handed on to lower levels within our military complex. In Africa, we find the testing ground for the AIDS virus. There's a reason for this. This virus technology was given by the Greys to the biological unit in Ultra within the NSA. One of NSA's underground facilities is underneath Fort Meade in Maryland. At that location there are 19 acres of underground caverns, with some of the most highly technological and sophisticated supercomputers in the world, that were built and designed inside the facility. They have never seen the light of day. This area, and the one in Mount Hood, Oregon, are engaged in massive surveillance of the world's telephones, telegraph, telex, fax, radio, television, microwave communication, north and also space radio waves. The complex in Mount Hood is where our military is cloning human beings and aliens. I don't know what alien races. Jumping back in history a bit. In the late 1950s, the Greys also approached the Russians regarding the signing of treaties and mutual exchange. The Russians, however, already at the time, were included in the proceedings of the NSA, chose not to sign this independent treaty because they knew full well that the Greys would try to pit the United States against the Soviet Union. It is in fact the Soviet Union that informed JFK of the Greys' presence during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Andromedans have stated that the Russians were trying to blackmail the US into sharing the alien technology, thus the Bay of Pigs. That's when they put the missiles there pointed at the United States.